What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. This is episode 48, right? It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Episode 48. That means episode 50 is Friday, which is crazy. Um, so welcome to the show. And on Imperfect Action Show, what do? We connect with people to talk about business or marketing, sharing a principle, a lesson, or strategy. And on today's episode, we got my guy, Business Builder Bees, who I've been wanting to get on the episode, who I've been wanting to talk to. And why don't you tell me a little bit about you, what you do, what you currently have going on. And while you do that, I'm going to send a text message out to our community and let them know we are live so they can come on and ask you all sorts of questions.
All right, for sure, for sure. You know, I don't know if we got enough time because I could talk forever on the things that I do and whatnot. but first of all, thank you for inviting me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here and share the information that I got. My name is Bees, Business Builder Bees, they call me. A lot of people have been calling me Business Buyer Bees because of the fact that I actually buy businesses. That's my main thing. But I have built many as well from the ground up. I focus right now on teaching people how to acquire businesses with no money out of their pocket. I should say more so that that's supplementary is teaching them, because the fact that I continuously do it, I teach them as things evolve, right? Mm-hmm. You can't put together a course on something that's so dynamic as this. And, to me, it's the best investment that's out there. They asked Warren Buffett in an interview recently, if he was to start over from scratch to rebuild his wealth, what would he do? And he was like, listen, there's no joke about it, no doubt about it. I would buy businesses, especially businesses that are like small businesses that have a lot of room for growth so that I can scale them and then sell them. Now you're treating the business as a product instead of focusing on the product that the business produces, product or service that the business produces, right? So it's a whole different mindset, but it's entirely possible. And I think what happened with Elon Musk and Twitter recently, it's a perfect example of a leverage buyout, because you basically do it with no money coming out of your pocket, right? Mm-hmm. But we can get deeper into that as we go on.
So, man, I got so many questions, right? One of the things I was actually it made me think about when you were saying that is so I think last year I had read the book Built to Sell.
Yeah, I love that.
They were talking about how as you're starting and positioning your business, you want to start and position it so you can exit it, right?
Yep.
And it was laying out obviously how you should do that. But I really, really also loved how you just said, like, looking at businesses as the products, mm-hmm. and not just focusing on the products and services that the business actually sells, which mm-hmm. I think is a great way to look at it. So, like, you really buying these assets that are producing assets, and mm-hmm. then you're going to flip those assets, but mm-hmm. you're just doing it on a larger scale. So now we're paying with real crazy. Now the numbers is just greater.
I love that you use that word. They're cash producing assets.
That's 100% what it is.
Exactly.
So look, it's crazy, right? Because damn, I think this is a timely conversation. So I saw maybe 48, 72 hours ago, 2 or 3 days ago, a post. It was a sponsored ad. This girl who I saved. I thought this was pretty clever. She was talking about how same thing you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure you're also including like online businesses too in this. But she was talking about how there's a site that you can go to.
Multiple.
Yes, exactly, right. So there's a website that she was talking about specifically, and it was listing all these different businesses that were for sale that are actually making money right now.
Yep.
It breaks down, the business obviously name, the assets, the revenue, the costs. You know what I'm saying? The maintenance, like what you need to keep the business going. Yep. And I was just like, damn. There was businesses for $2,500, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, to $250,000, mm-hmm. and then it lists like what the return on investment is monthly. And like literally, you could buy a business for like your son or your daughter or your nephew or your grandma or something. And then, bro, that's so crazy, man.
Listen, I can't stop smiling because when this all clicked to me a few years ago, I was like, wait a minute, like for real, like hold up. And then I started doing it, and I was like, wait a minute, because I was doing the acquisitions, but I wasn't always doing it with $0 out of my pocket. That's a skill that I learned over time. And it was like, yo, this is insane. And there's a book. It's also a movie. It's called The Barbarians at the Gate. It's the story of RJR Nabisco. That was the largest LBO, leveraged buyout, in Wall Street history back in the 80s. Until now, the largest is what happened with Elon Musk. But that describes it perfect. As a matter of fact, in the very beginning of the book, what do you call that? The prologue. I think it was even before the prologue. It was like the first page. There's a quote or a little story that says that it's easier to buy. It's harder to buy a small shoe shine shop than it is to buy a $2 billion business. Because a small shoe shine shop, let's say it's selling for $3,000, you need $3,000 cash to buy it. Or if you don't have it, you got to bring it by Thursday. To buy a $2 billion business, oftentimes you don't have it, don't know where you're going to get it from, and don't end up spending your own money to do it, right? Now, it's the basis of something called corporate rating, which I'm not in favor of, because some real rich people have done that many times, where they get these companies and they use these same tactics, and then they basically kind of gut the company and fire people and all that. I don't do that. But the fact that you could get a business with no money out of your pocket, use the assets in the business in order to leverage your acquisition of it, that's insane, bro. It changes the game. That's building true wealth. There's no investment out there like it.
So again, you just kind of vibrate and iterate something else that I'm pretty sure people are hearing or they heard before, which is when it comes to like selling a product or service, offering the premium, right? Selling something for 5, 10, 20,000 is easier or the same as selling something for $5, $10.
Easier.
Yep. So when you're talking about the businesses as well, it's like now, like you said, this is true wealth. You're operating on such a higher frequency, and then you're trading things of immense value, right? Yep. But it's literally just like you and I were going to the store and just buying something that we would normally do.
100%.
You're just operating in this space now versus in a space that you're just familiar with.
100%. And the reason why people, when they hear this, they're like, wow, that's crazy. You're doing that. That's amazing. I can't do it though. And I'm like, wait, what? No, why are you saying that? I'm not nothing special. And the things that I talk about, they're like, yo, Bees, ain't nobody talking about this. How did you come up with? I didn't come up with this. Another community, lighter skin than mine, they've been doing it for years, for decades, right? It's nothing new. It's just that we don't talk about it. Again, I'm not talking about just the Black community. I'm talking about the layman, the lay person, the average man. We don't talk about it because we're trained in school to think that we just got to get a job and that's the only path, right? Now I'm gonna tell you everything that I've been able to discover and everything that I'm doing now started from the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. In it, he got the cash flow quadrant, right? And, most of us start as an E, the employee, and then we say those words, I want to work for myself, and then, we go down to becoming self-employed. And on this side of the quadrant, we're still working in the business and trading time for money. That's not the best situation. Then we go over, the lucky few go to business owner. Now, as a business owner, you're not working in the business, you're working on the business. You're just kind of steering the direction of the business, reviewing reports, creating partnerships, helping the business to grow, right? And I stayed here for a good while as a business owner. I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be, because I thought the next quadrant was like, oh, that's just when you're like super, super rich.
Yeah, the investor?
The investor. Yeah. And I stayed away from it for a long time. But then eventually I was like, wait, hold up. Nah, that is where I need to be. Why am I avoiding it? That's the epitome of this entire cash flow quadrant, right? And changing that mindset of not needing money of needing money in order to be an investor. That's what helped me to get into that quadrant, because as a business owner, you're working on the business, but now as an investor, you're working above the business. Now it's like, that's what I mentioned in terms of you're looking at the business as a product instead of focusing on the end product of the business. And when I acquire a business, I had a student that said, Bees, oh man, I can't believe I waited so long to join this. This information is insane, because he just joined, a few weeks ago and he was going through all the videos. And he was like, man, the reason I waited so long was because because I already got a company. I thought that acquiring another business meant I'm buying like another job, and I just didn't have the time. And I was like, no. You could, if you want to, acquire the business and work in it. You could, But because you get to do due diligence and look at the financials beforehand, I know how much the business can afford. So I know that it can afford a CEO in it. I don't want to be the CEO of nothing.
Yep.
Right? People are so happy to be, yeah, I'm the CEO. I'm the CEO of no, I don't want to be the CEO of shit. Let me not cuss. I don't want to be the CEO of nothing. Right. So I want to hire a CEO in it. And that's why this investment opportunity is the best, because it's the only true one that can be passive. Because that business, that cash flowing asset is running. I'm not running it. I'm an investor that I attend quarterly earnings calls, and I can put suggestions and direction in, but the execution is happening by the CEO and all the employees below.
Hey, y'all, listen, man, this is another episode of Imperfect Action. If you're just logging on, I want to welcome you, right, to the West Coast community, to the East Coast community. We got my guy, Business Builder Bees on, and we're talking about buying businesses with no money out of pocket, which I can't wait for him to talk about how we're doing that. And really buying assets that are producing assets, and really looking at businesses as not the products and services that they're producing, but actually the product, which I think is amazing. Mm-hmm. If you do not currently follow Business Builder Bees, follow him on Instagram right now. Definitely somebody you definitely want to tap into. So, couple questions. Community, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat so we can ask Bees live, right? You definitely want to make sure that you do not miss out on getting your questions answered. We got another 20 minutes, so if you guys got questions on the tip of your tongues, I definitely want to make sure that you get them out. Just drop them in the chat. So, couple questions I have for you. Number one, how'd you stumble on this information for yourself? Where were you at that time? Yeah. And then what was exposed to you, or did you put yourself in a room, or how did you find this information? How did you first get the exposure?
I'm always seeking new information, right? Because I always feel there's stuff out there I don't know. And my mindset is like, when, not to get political, but I always use this example when Donald Trump, when it came out that he only paid $700 in taxes in how many years, a lot of people was like, oh man, that's messed up. The rich are always getting away. I was like, okay, how'd he do it so I could do it too? So I started trying to figure that out, right? So I got into in 2017, I think it was. I always forget if it was 18, 17. It definitely wasn't 16, but I sold 2 brands of e-commerce brands. That's where I started as a full-time entrepreneur. After I left corporate America, I had quit my job at Microsoft and started in e-commerce. So in 17 or so, I sold 2 brands that I created. And I was like, damn, if I could sell a business, even though I knew about this from my corporate life in mergers and acquisitions, right? Yep. I knew about the space. I just didn't think it was something I could do. But once I sold 2 brands, I was like, well, shit, excuse me. If I sold, I could also buy. And you mentioned a site that your friend was talking about, in where she found businesses for sale. One of them is called Biz Buy Sell, BIZBUYSELL. It's probably one of the most popular ones. But there's I have a spreadsheet in my community that my students have that has over 1,000 of those different type of broker sites. One of them is called Empire Flippers. So if you're trying to buy a business or sell your e-commerce business, Empire Flippers is the better one to be on, right? So, once I sold the business, I was like, okay, how do I buy? Then I started looking into buying things, because I realized that the best way to scale your current business is to acquire something. Instead of building out a marketing team, you go buy a marketing company and roll it into your company, and then your company grows. Then I just started getting in the right communities, man. I started meeting. I have tons of mentors. I spent 6 figures in the last few years on mentors. So once I started learning from them, I started putting pieces together, and I was like, well, let me try this, let me try that. And then the rest is history from there. Once I started executing and seeing that, this can really work, I started building my portfolio, man. And it's been crazy since then.
So why should people start doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, why should they start looking at really acquiring businesses versus, just assets, just normal assets? So like, should I buy a business, or should I consider buying a business, or should I buy, this art or this watch or something? Like, why should people now start looking at businesses as assets for them to collect?
So first thing, most people's going to say building the business versus buying the business. Do you own a Lamborghini by any chance?
Not yet, but it's on the way.
Okay. Are you going to build it yourself, or are you going to go to the dealer and buy it?
I'm going to go to the dealer and buy it.
Okay. It's the same thing in business, right? Why build one from scratch when you could buy it? When you build a business, I think it's about 80% of first-time businesses and business owners, the business is gone in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Down, whatever happened. 10 years, I think the number increases. Oh, I'm sorry, 60% in 5 years. 10 years is like over 80%, right? So when I acquire a business, I'm buying one that's like 5, 10 years old, right? It got tax returns already. It got customers.
Yeah.
It got revenue. It got processing systems. It got everything in place. And the main reason why this is the best investment that's out there is because I get to reduce my risk as much as possible compared to any other investment. Why? Because I know what I'm getting myself into before I do it. I do my due diligence, my financial due diligence, my legal due diligence, and it's not just me doing it. I have teams that will come in and do it, right? And then they'll say, okay, well, yeah, over the last 5-10 years, we've seen the growth. We know what the business model is. We know what the projections are. I got a lot of people that come to me and ask, how do you build business credit? And I tell them how you could build it, but guess what? If you buy a company that's 5-10 years old that has tax returns and been paying this and that, it might have corporate level credit already, and you ain't got to worry about building nothing. You don't got to PG nothing.
Yep.
There's nothing that compares to this, especially if you decide to go the route of you don't want to work in it either. You want to have a CEO that's going to be hired in it. So you buy art, which I encourage you to do that also. But you buy art, that might be, maybe it goes up 20%, maybe it goes up 50%, maybe you don't know that for sure, right? In this, you can predict exactly where you're going. And especially if you go in with the mindset of saying, hey, I'm going to acquire this business at this level. I see the opportunities for growth already. I can sell this in 3 years for 5x what I paid for it. Not what I paid for it, because no money came out of my pocket to pay for it. So I can
even talk, which I can't wait to talk about. It's like we keep alluding to that. That's crazy, man. Honestly, I'm excited, right? I'm excited because and earlier I was saying it's timely, right? I was like, it's timely, and I feel like things are aligning because, like, my friend told me, you know who Myron Golden is?
Yeah, I know Myron.
All right, so his son Anthony is one of my good friends.
Okay, cool.
So Anthony came to visit a couple months ago. He was over here. We were chopping it up. He was like, yeah, man. My thing this year is buying businesses. He was like, I'm in talks with a marketing agency right now that I'm about to acquire, and we were talking about it. And then a light bulb went in my mind. I was like, why ain't I doing the same thing? Like he literally, like, we went to eat and he ran it down. He's like, yeah, they got this, and this. I looked at the projection, boom, boom, boom. They're actually in my hometown, so it's easy. So I could just go check on them, make sure it's good, whatever's going on. I was like, bro, why ain't I doing this? So the seed was just planted. And then, like I said, I was on Instagram, and then I heard someone else talk about it. So it's great, man, because if you got a family, like you and your wife or husband or whatever, y'all can go in on something. You and your kids can go in on something. You and a business partner can go on something. You could just start collecting. If you're just a single person, get your assets together, start collecting these. I think the eyes is open. So I think it's an amazing opportunity, like you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, why and how? Well, not why, but how can somebody do this with no money out of their pocket?
So first of all, Myron's brother is a broker. I think his name is Mark Golden. He's a broker, and he I don't like dealing with brokers. Is okay. First thing you got to think of is real estate is the same thing as buying businesses. The same way you could buy real estate is the same way you could buy businesses. And so there's different ways you could buy businesses. And one of them, just like how there's different ways you could do real estate, you could do fix and flip. You can also do wholesale, right? So I teach my students, that's like the ultimate method, in my opinion, of doing this, because I show them how to get private equity firms who have specific acquisition criteria, get an agreement with them on, either a finder's fee or if you're going to sell a company to them. And I show them where to go find the companies that the private equity firm says, hey, these are the companies that we will buy. Okay, cool. Now here's how you go find it. Here's how you could buy it, and you can sell it to the private equity firms, all within a short period of time, right? Now, I wanted to mention that in terms of real estate, because if you find an off-market deal, it's always better, right? It's the same thing in the business. That's why I try to avoid brokers, but you could go through the brokers too. Now, here's how you do it. It's the same concepts in how you structure the deal in real estate, right? So, for example, things I'm about to tell you is not nothing I made up. This is common in the industry. This is just part of it. So when people hear it, they're like, wow, why would somebody do that? For example, sorry, obviously cops driving by or something, ambulance. The first thing that I always do when it comes to acquiring a business is seller financing. That is, if you go on that site that I mentioned, bizbuysell.com, and you search for businesses just in your area, you could even add the filter to say, only show me the ones that offer seller financing. 90% of them probably do, right? I typically see it from anywhere from 10% seller financing to 80% seller financing. Often I get right around 50%, right? I know somebody who told me they got 100% seller financing on something recently, and I was like, well, damn, I never seen that before, but that's awesome.
That's great. That's crazy.
So now seller financing means I'm going to pay, let's say I'm going to buy a business for $1 million. And let's say I get 50% seller financing. That's the first thing that I'm going to do, right? That 50% means that 500,000 of that 1 million, I'm going to pay the seller over 5 to 10 years at maybe 5% interest, right? Mm-hmm. But who's paying that, Brendan?
Sellers.
No, who's paying the seller that 500,000 over 5-10 years?
Oh, you would be.
Nope. Who's paying it? Think about
it. The business.
The business is paying.
The business. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. You got to get that mentality of it's not coming out of my pocket. Mm-hmm. I'm getting the business, and then 500,000 of it is going to be paid by the business over the 5-10 years, 5% interest. And you already saw the books to see.
Yeah, you saw the books. You saw the books. You know what the ROI is. You know what the projection. You know what the projections are.
You know what the EBITDA is. EBITDA stands for EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, right? And then you know what the business can afford. Okay, so then you're going to be like, yeah, but Bees, what about the other 500,000? Okay, first thing I do is seller financing. Second thing I do is DDP, deferred down payment. Again, I ain't making this up. This is something that's common. And it's similar to how this can happen in real estate.
Real estate, yeah.
So deferred down payment, I may say, hey, I want 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, even as much as 180 days, 6 months, where I don't have to pay the down payment, which is the balance that's left after seller financing, right? Cool. So I'm going to give you, mind you, Brendan, I have a list of a couple hundred of things that I use to stack the deal. I'm only going to give you 2 or 3 right now, and your mind's going to be blown. I already gave you seller financing.
Yep.
I already told you DDP, the concept of DDP.
Yep.
So on day 1, the business is mine now. On day 2, because remember, I don't got to pay nothing for, let's say I got 90-day DDP. I don't got to pay nothing for 90 days. Day 2, I might say, let me go to a fintech bank. Are you familiar with fintech?
Yeah. Yep. Financial technology. Yep.
Fintechs, they're not going to look at my credit. That's why when people ask me, oh, but do you need good credit? No, you don't. If you did, that's good too, but you don't need it. Oh, do I need a lot of cash? No, you don't. Okay, so let's say I go to a fintech bank on day 2 after I acquired it on day 1, and I say, hey, I'd like to get a fintech loan, a revenue-based financing loan in my business. Mine. That's mine. I just got it. Right? I ain't telling them I just got it, but it's my business. They're going to look at the past few months of revenue, and they're going to, oh, cool, you've been running 100, 200,000 per month through the business. Yeah, we'll give you another 200,000. Then we'll take out 5, 10, 15, 20% out of every transaction going forward until it's paid off. Cool. Who's paying that back?
Business.
Okay, so now we got 500,000. Now we got 200,000. So 700,000 out of that million is covered by the business paying it back. It didn't come out of my pocket, and now I can just keep going. I keep stacking the deal with these different things. That nothing comes out of my pocket, that the business is paying back. Let me give you another one, because you made the good thought is, yeah, well, but then you're gonna be putting in a lot of debt. That's what I told you, that it's the old school Wall Street concept of corporate rating and leverage buyout. They go all the way and gut out the company. You don't want to do that, because you want it to be a cash flowing asset, right?
Yeah, you want the cash flow. Yep.
So we'll do other things. Let me give you an example. An acquisition I'm going through right now, which I thought would close this week, but may not close till next week. I'm going to offer the CEO, the owner, 20% equity to stay in the business. Okay. If I offer 20%, what's that going to do? That means the $1 million that it actually costs 3, but we're using our example of 1 million that it costs. I get to reduce the price by 20%. He stays on as an advisor, not as a manager, not as a GP, but like an LP, limited partner.
Yep.
Now I've reduced it by 20%. So now it's 800,000 that I'm supposed to owe total, of which 500,000 is covered by seller financing, 200,000 by the revenue-based financing that I just mentioned, and another 200,000 by the 20% that I'm discounting it. So that leaves me with what, 100,000 left to go?
Yep.
I told you I know a couple hundred of these different tactics on how to stack the deal so that I can acquire a business with no money out of my pocket.
That one was crazy right there. That CEO equity joint, that was crazy. Like you said that, and I got it. I'm like, wow.
And here's a good thing: if the seller, if you're talking to the seller and building that rapport, and the seller knows that, oh wow, you could take this business to the next level. That's awesome. And it's kind of like my legacy is going to live on. Yeah, cool. Well, how about if I take it to the next level? You're coming on, still having equity. That equity is going to be worth even more later. And he's like, yeah, for sure. And the benefit is you're going to stay on and be an advisor to me because you know the business better than I do.
Definitely.
Or not even to me, to the CEO that I'm going to put in place.
Yep. You got 2 advisors now.
I got 2 advisors, and I don't got to do nothing.
Yeah.
Listen, bro, this is, and I could go on, but I know we press for time, man. But this is the most insane opportunity that's out there. And like I said, I didn't create this. I just simplified it for, I think, the layman to be able to do it. And it's bananas.
So we got a question from the audience. This one is coming from Todd Capital. That's my guy Charles. He says, "How do you guarantee that the income is going to continue after the old owner walks away?"
Well, you're looking at, you do the due diligence, right? You're looking at years of business, tax returns, everything. You ask them what is their current customers, their current customer level. They have a customer list that you can market to. Right? The business I'm acquiring right now has over 20,000 customers over 11 years, right? You look at their AR, their accounts receivable. Oh, we got like alarms going away. You're looking at
it's crazy. It's crazy.
The accounts receivables, you're looking at everything, right? So guarantee, there's nothing is guaranteed, but there's nothing that you could reduce the risk as much as you can in this situation. And on top of that, I just started teaching my students something new. We are afraid of the word bankruptcy, right? Because somebody asked me the other day, they were like, what's the worst that can happen in this situation? I was like, I don't know. You got too much money. You don't know what to do with it. And then I was like, nah, okay, let's say, because I know what you're getting at. Your concern is, what if you get the business and it fails? You have there's a 2% acquisition failure rate compared to that 80% that I mentioned in starting a business. So why are you asking that question for the 2% one, but not for the 80% one that you want to go start your own business anyway, right? And on top of that, bankruptcy is something that is used by the wealthy in a positive manner. Yes. Bankruptcy is bad for your personal, but in a business, you do a chapter 13, you're restructuring. It's not even a true bankruptcy. You're just restructuring. You do a chapter 11, that's just selling off assets. There's something called ABC, which stands for, oh my God, what does ABC stand for? Account. Oh, damn, I can't remember it. But that's another type of bankruptcy that you could do. Right? So you got options. As long as you're purchasing the business not in your personal name, you purchase it with another SPV, special purpose vehicle like a LLC or such, or a trust, even more important, you're protected. Listen, I can't think of a downside to this compared to anything else.
So Todd asked another question, and I just double checked because I thought I saw this earlier. So you got a masterclass coming up. He was asking about how to get access to the information, book, course, program. And I know you got a masterclass coming up. I actually put the link below. So if you're watching the replay, it will be a link below to get access to Beez's masterclass. I'm trying to see if I missed any questions here.
So the masterclass webinar happens every Wednesday. I do that. It's free. You could tap in just to hear more about how this works, right? But the full program, the full mentorship is called the BBI, the Business Builders Institute. We got 2 tracks. We got where you're building your business and how to scale it. Then we got the advanced track, which is how to acquire businesses. And then once you acquire it, it's good to know how to also scale it. That's why I have the 2 tracks in there. We meet every week. We go over. Yesterday when we met, I've been going over my current deal because I know I still have some students who are still nervous, like, oh my God, it sounds so amazing, but I don't know if I could do it. And I'm like, okay, let me walk you through a typical deal. So when I'm going through a deal, I'll walk them through and say, okay, this is what I'm doing in this current acquisition. And this is how I'm addressing the questions that the seller's asking. And this is how I'm doing that. And all of that's in the course, but I like people to see it live happen as well.
100%. So if somebody want to tap into this, where do they go to get into the course? Is that just the link in your bio?
Yeah, link in my bio on IG for sure. Or you could go to businessbuildersinstitute.com.
And Britt said the ABC was the assignment for the benefit of creditors.
Thank you, Britt. That's it. Britt is actually she's a COO of one of my companies too, ATAC Solutions, and she's like my second brain. She anytime I don't remember nothing, she already on top of it.
She's on top of that. All right, man. So I like to be right on time. It's 30 minutes in and out. Real quick, community, if you guys have any question that you want to ask, drop the questions in the chat below. This is your last opportunity to do that. What do you currently have going on? I know you mentioned the deal. So could you just speak on what the deal is real quick? And if you're looking at other deals in the next, 3-6 months or whatever, and then just let them know where they can tap in with you.
Oh yeah, man. I'm the amount. Okay, there's 12.5 million baby boomers that are retiring this decade, right? I'm sorry, 12.5 billion baby boomers that have businesses that are retiring this decade. There's 50 million baby boomers, but 12.5 who have businesses, right? They're motivated sellers. I get so many deals that come to my face that I'm like, damn, I want that, but I can't get them all.
You can't get them all. Yeah.
So I'm always acquiring. This deal right now, the only reason I'm going slowly through it is because I'm walking my students through it too as well, right? But this deal it's in the medical space. It's a medical like spa, Botox and all these type of things, which I know nothing about. So you don't even need to know nothing about it because the professionals keep running it, right? But I'm going to continue acquisitions. My goal is something that I'm creating called the $1 trillion table. By the end of this decade, I want to have a table, a room with people in there that, look like me, that we have $1 trillion assets under management.
Yep.
Right. And the key there is that AUM, assets under management. And a lot of people hear that. They're like, $1 trillion, that's insane. No, it's not. Because like I said, the same thing that I'm doing to acquire a $5 million business, it works the exact same way to acquire a $1 billion business. So as I continue growing, I know I'm going to get to the $1 billion level. And I know I'm going to keep sharing this information to help others do it. And we're going to put this table together.
So last question again from Todd. Thoughts on Flippa?
Another source. This is another source. My main thing that I like to say, though, is that I prefer not to deal with brokers overall, right? So for me, I think Routes for Sale is a site you could use for acquiring trucks that have dedicated lanes and stuff. Appbroker.com is one you could use for businesses that are like apps, like software as a service type of stuff too.
Yep.
Biz by Sell is just one of the main general ones. There's a bunch of them out there for sure, but they're all broker sites, and 90%, 80 to 90% of the deals listed on there are listed with a broker. And it's okay.
You want to go to the source.
If you can, yes. It's always better to go to an off-market deal and talk directly to the seller.
So my last question for you before we sign off for the day is, are there any industries right now that you have identified as like hot industries? So like if you're buying a business in this industry or these industries, they look like they're kind of trending up right now. Oh
yeah. And it's not only because they're trending up, it's also because of how you calculate valuation of a company. Right. So we talk about that in the course as well, in the mentorship as well. Healthcare is my main area, and I'm talking about everything healthcare. I'm looking at a medical device company. I'm doing the med spa right now. I'm looking at some home healthcare companies. I'm looking at anything healthcare related, right? A clinical research organization, all of that, where they do testing. Healthcare has a great multiple. So the way that valuation is considered is based on EBITDA and industry. So if a company is in a specific industry and has an EBITDA lower than 1 million, then it may have, let's say it has a 2x multiple that it can sell for. But once it goes to 5 million in EBITDA, it can sell for a 6x multiple. So if you go acquire something that's under 1 million EBITDA for 2x multiple, say 600,000, now you buy it for 1.2 because of the 2x multiple. Now let's say you grow it to 5 million in EBITDA, you can sell it for 6 times that, 30 million. You see what I'm saying? So Healthcare is one of my favorite areas because the multiple scales quickly once you go above 1 million. And software as a service is
SaaS is it right now, huh?
SaaS is huge. Those are my big things.
Yeah. No, I heard. So again, C was playing with me. I went to this mastermind last year, and they actually talking about this, but it was like I wasn't ready for the conversation. So like I got it, and then you know what I'm saying, I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I heard this. The dots started connecting. So yeah, when you're talking about that, the multiples, you know,
where was that mastermind?
It was driven.
Oh, okay.
And that, driven. Yeah, it was driven.
That was located in
That was last year was Malibu.
It was in Malibu. Okay.
Yeah. They have some fire people speaking on that, but they were talking about acquiring businesses, you know, the multiples, the EBITDA and all of that. I'm like, yo, this sounds like this is what I need to be learning.
Listen, bro, I'm telling you, this is it. And inside of the industry, there's a lot of options, directions you could go. One path that I haven't taken that I'm gonna start taking now because I met another guy, person of color who's in this industry. He focuses only on the private equity space when it comes to acquisitions. I stayed away from that because I figured, oh, well, if I'm raising money, then there's going to be SEC regulations, and I just don't want all the headache. But he has he simplified it for me. So I'm like, well, dang, I might as well do that too. You know what I mean? So there's so many opportunities in here, man.
So yeah, Bees, man, I want to thank you for taking the time, jumping on the show. This has been a really, really dope conversation. The vibes has been great. Before you leave, please let the people know how they can find you. I know you got the masterclass, but if you have anything else for them to tap into, ebooks, programs, anything, please let them know how they can find you, how they can tap in.
For sure. So I'm mainly on Instagram at Business Builder Bees. There's some fake ones out there too, and they put like a S, Business Builders Bees, and they put an underscore at the end. Please do not fall for that. I only got one account on Instagram, Business Builder Bees. You could tap in on my link on my bio in there, get to all of my other links. My masterclass is Business Empire Builders Masterclass.com. You could go check that out. And that's every Wednesday that's held. I might increase it too. It just gives you more information. And like I said, don't even waste time. Join the BBI, the Business Builders Institute, and you could go directly to businessbuildersinstitute.com or just click the link in my bio on IG. And let's start buying these businesses, man.
100%, man. I'm grateful, thankful again for your time. Look forward to bring you back on the pod in the future. And when I get to Florida, we can actually do the other podcast. So we can talk about your story and kind of get into that.
For sure. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the BBI too, bro.
Listen, I'm inspired, bro. I'm going to be in there. It's done. It's already done. So you guys make sure you follow Business Builder Bees on Instagram. Tap into the masterclass. Get the information you need. And I think this is definitely where we should all be headed. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So thanks a lot. This has been an Imperfect Action Show. We'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 49. And we out.
Let's go.